Hello everybody. Welcome to the Dallas Cowboys news show. It's your host Thomas DeGlaw, and like always, thank you for coming in, subscribing to the Dallas Cowboys news show. Without you guys, this literally does not work. We have news that Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator of the Dallas Cowboys, is fired. And the Dallas Cowboys are interviewing a new defensive coordinator from the Green Bay Packers today. I'm looking up his name right now. Hold on. I see it on Facebook and I see it on DallasCowboys.com. Let me give you all a name for this defensive coordinator. Now, you all know that Mike Nolan, the defensive coordinator who was the defensive coordinator in Dallas, it didn't really work. He was trying to change the defense from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4 defense, and that really didn't work because the Cowboys could not stop the run. We could not stop the passing game, we did okay with the passing game, but it was more of the one. We let a lot of teams this year in this season run it up on the Cowboys. And that is why we officially fired Mike Nolan from the defensive coordinator. I'm still trying to get a name for the defensive coordinator in Green Bay. The Dallas Cowboys are also trying to get a contract for Dak Prescott. Now, you all know that Dak Prescott, he went out facing the New York Giants with that gruesome ankle injury. And Dak Prescott's recovery is going pretty good. He's recovering. And Jerry Jones is working on signing Dak Prescott to a long-term deal, which is a good idea. Now, the defensive coordinator who Mike McCarthy is interviewing right now is Joe Witt Jr., the defensive coordinator. He's in Green Bay, and I like him. He's a really good defensive coordinator. He's really good with stopping the run. And that's our big problem right now on this offseason is getting a guy who can help this defense stop the run. Now, you all know that this season wasn't a really good season. We had our ups and we had our downs, especially for Cowboy fans. Now, we all know that the defense of the Dallas Cowboys, They did try. They was on a 3-game winning streak at the end of December, losing to the New York Giants, and that's why the season is over. So I think Joe Witt is a really good fit for the team, and I think he's a good fit for the defensive coordinator. And as far as Dak Prescott being re-signed, you can look at all of the quarterbacks, 49ers, Pittsburgh, New Orleans, they'll have a quarterback that can throw the football. Ben Roethlisberger is on the prime of his life right now. He put the Steelers in the playoffs, and they had a really good season this year. Deshaun Watson on the Houston Texans, he wants out of Houston. And if I'm the Houston Texans, I'm going to re-sign Deshaun Watson and try to keep him in as quarterback, because quarterback is a really hard position in the NFL. Now, for us to try to get Dak Prescott signed is a really good job, because you all have to remember the only reason why Dak started out 1-3 this season was because of our defense, because we could not stop the run. We had a lot of games slip away from us, and we couldn't really get anything going in the second half. Now, for us to improve for next season, get a guy who can be a mentor on the defense and try to help him, kind of like what Chris Rashad did when he was in as a defensive coordinator. He did a really good job, and our defense was number 2 in the league. Now, the Dallas Cowboys, they have a history of letting a lot of guys go that actually help the team. And that's Jerry Jones for you. Jerry Jones, he kind of talks out of his ass sometimes, and we all know that. But for the Dallas Cowboys to try to interview someone else who has a lot of more experience, especially for the one in Green Bay, the defensive coordinator in Green Bay, Joe Witt, he can stop the one. And Green Bay actually are pretty good this year. Their defense is on point, and they don't let a lot of guys get away from them. So for us, it's really important that we sign Dak, because if you don't have a quarterback, you pretty much don't have a team. And I mean, we did draft Dak Prescott. He took over Tony Romo, went 13-3 his first season, and he did pretty good, and he's the reason why the Cowboys are good. But for Joe Witt to have an interview with the Cowboys, it's a pretty good sign that we're going to sign someone as our defensive coordinator. What this team can do to improve for next season. Because this is off season, and it's going to be a long off season for the Dallas Cowboys. For example, the draft is coming up. It's going to be coming up in March, I think. I believe it's going to be in March where we have the NFL draft. And we all know that we're gonna have a defensive lineman drafted in the draft, because it's a must need for this team. DeMarcus Lawrence did a pretty good job. He did okay this season. I kind of expected more from him, but the one man that I really look up to is Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith did a really good job this season, and he did try a lot. But he let a lot of games slip away from our defense in this season. The one player I'm really disappointed in is Ezekiel Elliott, because I expected a lot more from him playing in his prime time this year. But when you don't have a defense and you have an offense that struggles, it makes it really hard to win some football games. So our team, what we have to do to get better for next year is, first of all, signing Dak Prescott, signing our quarterback. That's going to be number 1 on the list. Number 2 on the list is getting a defensive coordinator who can stop the one and have a lot of experience. Mike Nolan didn't really do a good job of stopping the one, and he tried to change the scheme of the defense. And this defense always worked on a 4-3 defense. 4 men in the front, 3 men in the back, and then they're going to be blitzing most of the time. Blitzing is hard, though, because if you have a quarterback that's going to throw the football and you have a defensive lineman coming at you, the quarterback can always move to the left and then throw the football. And that's what we've seen a lot this year. We've seen our defense try to blitz this year and try to do man coverage, but it didn't really work. And Tony Romo said on CBS, it was last Sunday when the Cowboys lost to the Giants, Tony Romo brought up an interesting point. Tony Romo said, if you don't have a defense and you don't have an offense that can score touchdowns, you're not going to really get anywhere in the NFL. And that brought me back to 2010, where we didn't have a really good defense, but we had a pretty good offense who we did score a lot of points because Tony Romo, he was a really good quarterback, and he still is. He's a Hall of Famer in my opinion. But for the Dallas Cowboys, they kind of let a lot of games slip away from them, especially the Cleveland Browns, the Falcons, which we should have lost, but we didn't lose. But we should have. We shouldn't even started 1-3. We should have started 0-4. But Mike McCarthy, he's here to stay, and Jerry even said that this Monday on the radio show that we're not going to replace Mike McCarthy. He's here to stay. And I mean, even though we had a losing season this year, Mike McCarthy is pretty much known for having a losing season in the first year of a new team. He went 8-8 when he was on Green Bay, so for him to go 7-10 this year means next year will be a lot better for us. So, my question that I want to ask the Cowboy fans out there is, if you want to draft a quarterback, who do you go to? If you don't re-sign Dak Prescott, and let's, for example, we say Dak don't re-sign and don't get a contract, he's in the free agent, so he's on the market. Who do you sign as a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys? Because Jacksonville right now, they look to be getting Trevor Lawrence, so he's out of the question. And there's not a lot of quarterbacks in college football who can fit our scheme in this year's draft. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he might fit our scheme, but if I was the Cowboys, I'm just going to re-sign the quarterback that they have. It's better to re-sign than just let him go and try to draft a lot of picks in the draft just to get a quarterback. Because our focus right now should be on the defense. On the offense, you have a really good 3 wide receiving course. You have Amari Cooper, who he was playing with pretty much the whole ankle this whole season, and he did a really good job with catching the football and playing wide receiver. Michael Gallup, he really stepped up this season, and I'm really impressed with our rookie CeeDee Lamb. He did a really good job, and he was very impressive. So you have a good wide receiving course. You have an okay running back course. Ezekiel Elliott, he needs to just get better. He was injured this season too, so he's having a hard time running the football. But you got to give it up for Tony Pollard for playing the position as being a running back and being able to run the football like Tony Pollard could do. So Tony Pollard, in my opinion, he definitely did a really good job. So I'm impressed with how rookie CeeDee Lamb played. He played really good, and I'm impressed with how he played this season. So the Cowboys are interviewing a few defensive coordinators this week. We're trying to get a contract for Dak Prescott, and the offseason begins. I mean, we went 7-10 this year. We let a lot of games slip away from us, and hopefully next year will be a better season. It was a very stressful season for being a Cowboys fan. Congratulations to the Washington football team for being in the playoffs. They deserved it. They played hard this season, and I'll definitely be rooting for my uncle's team. I think today's Saturday, we have some playoff games. They play today versus Tampa Bay, so I'm going to tune into that game, and I'll be cheering for him. I'm sure my uncle's happy. He's a Washington football team fan. But congratulations to the Washington football team for being in the playoffs, and thank you all for commenting, subscribing, and listening to the Dallas Cowboys News Show. I'm your host, Thomas DeGraw. And without you guys, this literally does not work. Talk to you guys in the next video.